Well, did I stay in the frame in over there?
Yeah, you're good. Welcome back, everybody.
I'm in the frame.
Pat O'Hare is in the frame once again. James MacLaren interviewing once again. We're going to try and pick it up where we left it off the last time. And I think an opening question for Pat right now, before we move too far beyond this area, to finish off where we were. By the time you were out of high school, you'd started working, and surfing had dominated your life to the point where you were picking your jobs and shifts and everything so that you could enable surfing.
Right.
So this is one of those deceptively simple questions, and I'm asking it for the people that don't surf. If we can help those guys perhaps understand, what is it that makes this happen? Why does surfing, what hold over you does surfing exert, and when did that set in and how did it work?
Well, you know, it's one of those things that it catches you, and you, I think that's why most things about surfers look so stupid on, like, hey dude, you know, because you can't explain it. It's not something that can be explained. You just become part of an environment that is different. In the water, I mean, it's everything. The sound of it, the paddling out, the catching the waves. It's also, anything you say is going to sound
hokey.
Yeah.
Yeah, for non-surfers,
they can't touch that unless they have some kind of sport or something that they've done. Otherwise, that you can get caught up in and feel like time doesn't matter for a second.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that shirt that you have on. Zen, okay?
Okay.
Do you know what Zen means, right?
To a limited degree.
Yeah, well, everybody does. I don't think, you know, we dabble in it, but you know, I meditate sometimes, but I've only really reached that point where I wasn't inside myself surfing and racquetball and volleyball. Those were my.
Okay, so
I'm not sure about wrestling, because wrestling, I was so young, I never thought about anything, you know.
it was just what you did. You didn't think about why you were.
You had to react. That's it.
Bang.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's pretty much going to be an impossible task to get someone who doesn't surf up to speed with how this takes over our lives.
Yeah, I believe that. I think anybody that does anything for some reason that's sport orientated or that is not in the mainstream, it's hard to explain to anybody else that is in the mainstream. You know.
Okay, that's been my experience as well. I've pretty much given up on it.
Yeah, I don't try to explain that to people.
The harder you try, the bigger of a hole you dig, and you find yourself.
And then, hey, dude.
Dude, oh, please, hang 10. Yeah, it's a shame that has to happen.
Well, not really, because then we keep part of that for ourselves. You know, it's not a shame. You know, it's ours. I don't know.
They can't take it away from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to revisit this subject, but this is enough for its own interview. But, which then leads us to the next logical step is you got into it before Hollywood really latched onto it.
Right, yeah, a few years before that, yeah.
What was the mainstream perception of surfing and surfers before Hollywood got a hold of it and seemed to have ruined it for all of us?
Well, I think it was inevitable what happened. I'm not sure Hollywood really, truly ruined it. Ruined it.
Okay.
But, you know, at one time I loved it because I was probably at my peak of surfing for me at the time, and had all these people that I felt like, and I'm sure a lot of surfers got, I mean, there was guys levels above me, you know, I was just a good beach surfer. But anywhere I went, I felt I was good as most people in the water, you know.
It's a nice feeling.
Yeah, it is a good feeling. Yeah,
be able to conduct yourself.
Yeah, and the crowds was kind of cool at first, you know.
Okay. Okay. and we need to come back to that. But the image that came later, surfers as ne'er-do-wells and bums and stoners and all of that, did that apply before surfing exploded?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, this is,
Yeah.
so even then,
Me and Ricky came back from Mazatlan on a bus, and we had no money by the time we were halfway through Mexico coming back.
this would be what year?
I was 18 years old,
Okay.
and you could hear the people talking on the bus, bums, surf bums. You could hear them say that. There was only two surfers
Only
on
two guys there. Might be us.
So I had a hard time when I got back because nobody helped us out, and we were starving. 3 days we didn't eat.
Whoa.
You know, we didn't eat nothing, just waiting to get. I thought we could go to the consulate and they would help us. They just looked at us like it's not my fault.
Now, you were in the town of Mazatlan
No,
starving, or?
no. When we got back to Tijuana,
Tijuana.
Yeah.
Okay.
and I think that's where we pulled in, Tijuana. Yeah, I'm sure it was, and we just walked across the thing where most people drive their cars across with their boards, and we left them at the first gas station and asked if we could pick them up later, and they actually did, and I think we gave them some money, you know. Not then, but when we came back. And we hitchhiked. The guy that picked us up took us to breakfast.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, don't get me started on hitchhiking. I did a lot.
Well, hitchhiking was natural then. I mean, it was...
Hitchhiking, there's nobody to speak for hitchhiking.
No.
It's all, you're gonna die, you're gonna die, you're gonna die. That's yet another story.
And
for another
hitchhiking is pretty much dead unless you really are in that frame that you have to use it, you know.
It still works.
We used it for traveling, yeah, pretty much, yeah.
If my car breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Trip to Mazatlan. Ricky James.
Ricky James and me,
Okay.
yeah.
So we'll back up a little bit. We're still working in the factory, the Mattel factory in L.A. Where do we go from there? What happens with jobs and things in the ocean?
I went to work one night, and the guy that the line guy that's the head of the line,
The boss.
the boss. But there was a lot of bosses there in
always.
each line, yes. And he's screaming at me. I was late, you know, and I got my card out, and I was going. He says, "You got to get over there," and I didn't. I put it back, and I said, "I'm going home."
Yay!
And I left. Never went back. They sent me my check.
Okay, so.
And I missed the girls. That's what I missed, the girls that I work with.
Yeah.
Most of them were Spanish girls and black girls, and they're all fun.
Totally cool to be around.
Yeah.
Real people. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
what life really is down on the ground, right?
It made work easy, you know.
Yeah.
But the whole process of that, not meaning Mattel toys, but the whole concept of what I was doing was overwhelming for me to do, other than for the few dollars more, you know.
I don't know how people can do that kind of thing.
Well,
What
when
year-
you're a kid, you know.
You're pretty resilient. What year was that?
Shoot, I was just out of high school, I guess 59, 60.
59. Okay, in 59, we're now out of work. Was that summer or winter or?
No, I wasn't out of work. Me and Ricky did a glass job for a guy named Alan Geach. He opened a glass factory, and me and Ricky did most of the work, and Alan must have had another job, but he brought all the boards to us to do, and then take them. And so I
Okay.
did all the dry work, and Ricky did all the...
That was a smooth transition, and that took you into surfing full time.
More, yeah. We could, it was close to Seal Beach, the place was.
That's way up around the corner, isn't it?
Yeah, from Manhattan Beach, yeah. There's, yep. And we did overflow pretty much through the summer, I guess, you know.
Okay, so no more Mattel, no more factory.
Well,
Surfing factory, which is
Yeah.
in many ways rougher,
Yeah.
especially glassing. Ooh.
especially,
Um,
yeah. It was, what do they
Uh, Had you shaped a board yet?
No,
Okay.
no.
Was it all foam by this time?
Yeah, yeah, it was. I mean, there's probably some people got balsas. I don't remember doing any balsa boards
Okay.
then.
Okay. Where were you surfing for the most part?
But the foam had changed then. The foam had turned to epoxy foam. I mean, not epoxy, urethane.
Or polyurethane or whatever.
Yeah, and there were molded blanks right about that time. Is when they.
Okay. Who started all of that? Was
Well, Walker was the first. For me, from what I remember, it was Walker and Greg. Greg had his own foam.
that? Yeah, I've read about that.
Yeah.
Where Greg did the whole thing.
He did the whole thing always.
Yeah, he blew his own blanks and
Yeah.
shaped them and glassed them and out, and sold them and marketed them and everything. All right, so who were you working for again?
A guy named Alan Geach.
Alan
He never. I've never seen anything about him. Just a really nice guy, big, huge man.
Really?
Yeah, and fairly young. I mean, he was probably 23. You know what I mean?
Big
And
bear kind of guy?
big, just big,
Big guy.
like Sasquatch or something. Well, Greg, to tell you how big he was, Greg and his shaper, and his name was West, something West, got into a fight when they came back from Hawaii by Alan's house, right? They must have knew Alan pretty well. They were there, and me and Ricky were out on the sidewalk watching them fight. And those old cars, the 40s and 50s, they were hitting each other into this truck and denting it.
Ooh, ooh.
And I'm like, unbelievable. And we went and got Alan, and he broke it up.
Okay.
That's just like...
Just took him in. Big guy, okay. Did he have his own label?
No, he just glassed.
Okay.
There was a bit of that going on. Like Jacobs, pretty much, after a certain point in time, had people glass his board. He had Jack Pollard, which I have a history with Pollard that goes back to his brother. Because when I was in Inglewood, his brother went to school with me. And
now, this is a big city, and yet it seems like everybody...
It seems, you know, when you start thinking, it's just the webs of... and then my dad patched his house, Mr. Paul, Jack.
Right.
And he was kind of a rebel type of guy, just got out of the Navy, retired Navy. He was a little bit older, like in his 40s, but
Right.
he was a mover and a shaker in the glassing business as soon as he got there. As soon as he moved to Manhattan Beach.
Guy that made things happen and got it done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I've never heard of, but...
No, you probably have heard of Jack Pollard. Seriously.
Okay.
You probably have. He was very big in fiberglass, and he did all the Jacobs boards, and I think he did other people's boards too.
Okay. So we're now involved in glassing.
Uh-huh.
And we're doing that kind of stuff pretty much. We're now immersed 100% in the surfing
Like everything.
universe. Yeah. Where were you surfing for the most part in those days?
Still was surfing Manhattan Beach.
Right
I
there.
mean, but we did a lot of, those days when the day just kind of drags on and you want to go surfing and and you don't have a real lifestyle like the rest of the world.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
so we would go up to Malibu or Secas or County Line looking for waves and driving. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Whose cars? Did you have your own car at this time?
I did by the time I was 20. I didn't get a car till I was 20.
Okay.
And then I
Cost
got
money.
a driver's license pretty much after
You
that.
have to have that, or the,
Eventually. But me and Jackson Snyder got pulled over by a cop in my car. And the cop had pulled us over because he thought we'd look too young to be in a car.
Ooh.
And I was 20, and Jackson must have been 19 or 20. And he says, I didn't think that you wouldn't have a driver's license. And I said, I never had a reason to get one before.
Oh!
But I'm going to get one now. He said, yes, you are.
You know what's really strange is almost the same kind of thing happened to me. My very first car. and I got pulled over in Indianapolis.
Oh, really?
And the next day I went to the DMV
Right.
and got a license.
Right.
That's unbelievable.
I think a lot of kids, beach kids, it's all casual.
Yeah, not required. We can do it now. Okay, so we're talking 59, 60, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And we've got a car, and we're living in the LA basin, and we're driving around and going surfing.
Going surfing.
This is not bad.
No, it was good. And cars, you know, that look like wrecks seem to run forever. And they used more oil than gas. No.
Yeah, and you didn't care.
No.
Drive it until the wheels fall off and
Yeah.
leave it where it lies and get another one.
Throw the key on the dashboard and
hitchhike home. You can't do that. You can't do anything anymore. It's such a shame.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the surf spots that you went to and liked to surf in no particular order.
Oh, I liked Malibu a lot. I surfed Malibu whenever I could, and
I can only imagine. Was it crowded already?
it was pretty crowded. It had its moments, you know, and I can remember thinking that I wanted to be the first one in the water one day. Okay.
Yeah.
So I went up there that night, the night before, and I had a station wagon, so I slept in the back. It was no big thing, but by morning it was freezing cold because of the fog level was so high in California anyway. You know.
Marine layer day?
Yeah, and I'm parked right in front of Malibu. I'm the first guy there.
You could just park right there, right? There was
Yeah.
no,
Oh yeah. Then I don't
highway,
know if you
everything,
can do.
nobody-
I don't know if you can do that now.
I have no idea.
And I'm thinking I'm going to be the first one up, and I'm all covered up, and I hear somebody scream. You know how when somebody gets away,
Okay.
and I go,
I'm not first.
that's not possible. So I got out, eventually realizing I'm not going to be the first. I waited a little bit and got out and went out, and there was quite a few guys out there
Already. Freezing
already.
cold?
It was freezing cold.
Oh. Now, a fire on the beach was not a big deal. Is that how we kept warm?
I think at Malibu they did. I didn't see one that day,
Okay.
you know. But different places on the beach they did that, especially Old Man's and Doheny and places like that, you know.
You could do that here when I was a kid. But
What is
now,
that one place in California that has Old Man's? What's that
San
called?
Onofre.
San Onofre.
Yeah.
What a beautiful place. That is.
Never laid eyes on it.
It's great. It's just a culture, you know, of surfing.
You surfed there very often back then?
No, once, probably only like 3 times, but it just, you could feel the culture of it. You know, probably went back to the 40s there, you know.
Unbroken chain.
Yeah, little shacks and fire pits and, yeah, and it was neat. There was pretty good waves there.
That's when surfing is much about riding the waves, as much about escaping and getting away in your own little private world that was run by you and your friends for your...
And I think a lot of that had to do with being young, you know, so you weren't controlled by somebody.
That's pretty much long gone now, isn't it?
Well, I don't know if kids don't go through the same thing, but yeah,
Seems like the money guys have gotten hold of it in a way that...
I think they always have, but it didn't show. It's like whatever.
I'm thinking in the 50s there couldn't have been too much money.
No, there wasn't, but resin was already making a big push.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, that movie Dustin Hoffman did.
You're talking to a guy that doesn't watch movies.
I'm
very sorry.
It's one of the first movies in the 60s. He was Mrs. Robinson.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Okay, well, the first thing that his dad told him when he got out of college, because he was just sitting around in the pool, upper middle class family, says plastics.
Get into plastics. Okay. You know, I think I've heard that line.
Yeah.
That's where that comes from.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it comes from that.
So the money was already starting to intrude.
Yeah.
But well, I guess if we're building fires on the beaches and parking wherever we want to, it was still pretty open.
It was real, I thought it was real natural, and I was probably 15 to 20 years behind the original people that did all that stuff.
Guys that came home from World War II.
Yeah, they were the starters of it, I think. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That would be back on hollow surfboards, wood.
Wood and probably mostly hollow, because they were thinking with the heavy woods they were using to make them lighter. How else are you going to do that?
That was a big that was Tom Blake and those guys, right?
And he's from the Midwest, isn't he?
I seem to have read somewhere, yeah, and in fact, when he finally had enough surfing and was done, he went back home.
To Wisconsin.
To Wisconsin
yeah.
or someplace, yeah. And led a very simple, very clean life.
Yeah. They still, every once in a while, you'll see an article that someone has talked to him about different things, you know.
Oh, I can only imagine. Now, I'm guessing you never had a chance to meet the man.
No. No.
Okay, we didn't really cover too many surf spots. Who was in the water? Who was the up-and-comers?
I surfed blacks.
Blacks?
Yeah, I surfed blacks.
That's a real wave.
Yeah, it was a real wave. Yeah, it was, and it's not easy to get to. It's right by Scripps there. And
Get on the cliff.
Yeah.
Is that how you got to it, or was it along the road from the other side, whichever walk?
I can't remember. No, we had to go down some kind of cliff thing.
Those are considerable cliffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a path, and I think that's probably what we took.
Yeah.
But I don't think we knew that then, you know.
You're there, you're surfing,
Yeah.
the rest of it you don't,
Yeah.
Any big days at Blacks?
Well, I surf the same blacks, because it's farther, way down there, you know, from where I live.
Right.
So I probably surfed it 2 or 3 times, and yeah, they were big waves, but not as big as blacks can get, not anywhere like that.
I've seen some pretty pictures of
Huge, yeah.
Real live
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. And most of them are filmed from the cliffs, and you can see how big it can be. The outside is even bigger than what they're riding. You can see the swells coming in. I think we probably surfed it somewhere between 6 and 8 foot, you know.
6 and 8 foot California, not Florida. So
And leash. And no leash.
No leash. When you fall, you swim.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you mostly left or right, or?
It was kind of for a big wave, it seemed to me like a beach break. I went right, you know.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm sure there was left peaks too. But
you're regular foot, so I'm all, yeah.
I turned you around, and then Sean's a goofy foot too. I go, what did I do?
Yeah, I want to hit a lot more surf spots and a lot more people. I'm not sure how to go about doing it.
Well,
so
I'll just try to, most 90% of my surfing was probably the pier, you know, Manhattan Pier. And I surfed County Line and Secos a lot. We like Secos.
Secos is like a little point wave, yeah?
It is a little point wave. And
it's a right.
And it's a right, and it's whatever Malibu is, it's usually about half the size of Malibu. And if Malibu was too crowded, we'd go up there.
So it's really protected and behind the islands?
It's like 2 or 3 rocks there that it surfs off of it. The only thing that you have to worry about is seals. I came up paddling over a wave, and this seal just came up and just screamed in my face.
Like aggressive seals? Like they're going to...
I think they say that if they're mating, if it's mating time, you be very careful.
I don't have any experience with seals.
We had 2 seals out here about 2 years ago. Did you know that?
Here in Cocoa Beach here?
Went past here.
No way.
They got lost somewhere, and I could have sworn they were seals, and I watched them all the way down the beach. I was walking and watching them going, and I'm saying the same thing, no way, I've never seen seals.
No seals.
But on the news, they said something about they caught 2 seals that got lost somehow, and they took them back up north.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to mess with seals or
No.
not. They seem a little too...
Well, back then, I think the long boards, we thought because of the long board, we were okay. You know, we're safe.
It's amazing what you'll persuade yourself.
Yes.
When you need to.
We're okay.
We're fine.
But, yeah.
Okay. Was there... Okay, what was the shark deal back then? Was there anything with sharks?
Uh, Again, I thought the longboard would keep me safe, but they do have a time of the year in California where shark fishing is really big, and every year it seemed like
a season.
Yeah, and a lot of them were those hammerheads.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Manhattan Pier, these Oriental guys would come there and fish off of it, and they would have them stacked up
Whoa.
around the lighthouse there.
Did anybody ever get touched up by the sharks?
No, I don't ever remember anybody saying they got bit by it. But I did see sharks occasionally, you know. But I was safe.
You were on the big board.
I was on the big board.
It's okay.
Just get up on your knees and start paddling.
Okay, who were the heavy guys at the pier? Who were the dominators? Who were the people that had the moves?
Oh God, for me, you mean?
Yeah, as you were there and surfing, who were the people that you could look over and go, okay, that's the guy?
Yeah.
Who were those people?
Ricky Young was one of them. He moved to Seattle or someplace like that and opened a shop.
Have we heard of him from anywhere else?
Oh yeah, he's in a couple movies. Yeah, he's a
real guy.
Yeah, he's a real guy and a real good surfer. Big, tall, about your height.
Not that tall.
Well, you're about 6'2", right?
One.
6'1". He's about your size. He was a really good surfer. He's in a couple movies.
Okay.
And Henry Ford.
That name I've heard.
Yeah, Henry's still.
He's still around, yeah.
Yeah, he's still, and I think he's about my age, a little bit older. I remember going to a junior senior prom, and he was sitting at the bar. He said, "See, when you get 21, you can do this."
The promised land. Okay, what were the moves? What was considered good surfing? What was considered poor surfing? Where was it going? Or
well, it moved into the modern longboard, like with the bottom turn became real effective, and it became a real pretty turn. Before that, I think angling was pretty much it, turning and angling,
climbing
and kick, and that came in with the bottom turn.
So angle and kick out.
Pretty much, or ride the wave, but there was. You still have to remember the boards were a little bit heavy still. You know.
A little?
Well, you know, compared to what they are now, they're 2 layers of tin then, and
I remember that. Yeah.
they were pretty heavy. We didn't think they were heavy. I mean, nothing to compare with compared to what other people had to surf in 10 years before. Who's complaining?
So.
And they were beautiful. I mean, to me, they looked beautiful.
Yeah, there's just something about the look of the thing. It's
Yeah.
just the object on
Yeah.
its own without doing anything
Yeah.
with it.
Greg used to come down to the pier with this new board he was going to take to the islands, and
Greg
he'd say,
Knoll.
"Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't say that."
That's
Really,
why I put that in for the
Yeah.
people, but anyhow, he's got this new board going to take to the islands.
and he'd come down, bring it out. He called it a Stradivarius.
Yes! Yeah!
And he'd take it out, and we'd all sit around and look at it, and he thought that was great. And then he put it back in and leave, and then go in the water.
Okay, so people were going to Hawaii back then.
Oh yeah,
All
yeah.
right, Greg Knoll, that's a name that everybody knows.
Mike Stang.
Mike Stang, I remember seeing pictures of him on big waves.
He was pretty much my mentor, you know.
Really?
More so than Greg, because he was more accessible. Greg was.
So Mike Stang was one of the local crew.
Well, he was the lifeguard there.
That's about as local as it can get.
And he was just a good guy. Just really a good guy.
Okay, yeah. I've seen pictures of him, I think, at Waimea and
Oh,
Big
he's always,
Makaha and...
wherever Greg is, he's behind him farther back.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I don't know if he had quite the ability that Greg had, but he had more.
He went at it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Charge.
Oh, he's a great swimmer. Unbelievable swimmer, yeah. His brother was in the some kind of water polo Olympics, you know, in the early 50s or something like that.
It's amazing surfing, the high-poweredness of all the people.
Yeah.
And it's a tiny little community, and yet, yeah, and I'm getting more of that
Yeah.
now, right now from you.
Yeah.
I never had any idea.
Oh yeah, he in school he was a great swimmer. He was on the water polo team in college and stuff, and but surfing grabbed him, and
That's that.
he went with Greg to the islands every year.
What kind of stories did those guys tell back then, or did
They were so great. They were so great because they were coming from. Actually, you probably didn't hear from those guys, but you heard it from somebody that they told it
Second
to.
or third hand?
But they were real stories. You know what I mean?
Give me a for instance, please.
Oh well, they were out at Mike Stang and Mickey Munoz
Yeah.
were out at either Sunset or Waimea.
Big
They're
guy.
the only guys out, and they're singing. They're probably half crazy. They're singing whatever, and he said it was just so much fun.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
a couple other guys came out, and they just took turns taking waves and talking about.
Oh, yeah. 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 guys,
Yeah.
especially on a fair size
Well, you've
wave.
surfed Waimea, so you know you would have to drag me out in Waimea.
Well, let's leave me out of this as much as we can. But it just sounds so neat from the deserted beaches, nobody
Oh, yeah.
around, a few close friends, and this phenomenal thing that nobody else can understand.
And it was fun.
And it was fun. Insanely fun.
And actually, as far as some of those stories, and I can't remember them right now, you know,
Yeah,
some of them might flash.
if they pop up,
Yeah.
please share
But
them with us.
when I turned 21, me and Mike Stang would go to the La Paz, which was a local bar on the beach there, you know.
In Manhattan.
Yeah, and he would tell me stories and shit.
Oh yes. Oh please. Oh
And that
yes.
was- yeah.
Anything like that, interject and roll with it.
And then, as far as volleyball, when I was about at the same time, because I played volleyball when I get out of the water on the weekends.
And you were good at that too, right?
Yeah, I loved it. Now, if you love it, you're gonna
You're
get
gonna
good.
get good. It's hard not
Yeah,
to.
it was a great sport, and I had heroes in that too, you know.
Oh, excellent.
And they had the knot hole, which there's probably 1,000 bars called the knot hole, you know.
It's
And after this one volleyball tournament, me and Ricky and somebody else were sitting outside the knot hole, and Tony and his crew of 6 guys that played on the 6-man team,
right.
they were inside with their wives drinking and stuff, and they hand us over a pitcher of beer.
Oh, okay. Here, we have some too. Yeah, okay. That's a life that people now, I don't think they can even. You can't reach that.
No, it's, well, sadly to say, you know, probably not. I mean,
yeah.
the beaches are, what do they call it, Megalopolis?
Megalopolis.
Yeah.
And it's all regulated and.
Yeah.
Okay, we've been talking for about a half an hour, and I think this is a fairly good place to break.
Okay.
So let's take a break, and we'll come back with more Pat O'Hare interview in just a little bit. Thanks a lot.